We meet a young boy named Sammy walking toward a church. His shirt is stained with blood, and he's holding a broken guitar. Pastor Jedediah sees him and immediately welcomes him, trying to pray for what he assumes are his son's sins. He believes Sammy has done something terrible, which explains his current state. The story then jumps back to the previous day. We're taken to a cotton field where Sammy and his family are working. He gazes out at the sunset and the endless rows of cotton, clearly dreaming of a different life for himself, one far removed from this place. Elsewhere, two brothers, Smoke and Stack, return to their hometown of Clarksdale, Mississippi, after spending time in Chicago. They made a small fortune working for the mob and now want to invest it in an old sawmill, turning it into a juke joint. They make a deal with Hogwood, a local landowner, warning him they'll defend their place if the Klan shows up. Hogwood brushes off their concern, calling it an overreaction. Excited to get the place running by that evening, the brothers visit their uncle Jedediah and ask his son Sammy to play guitar at the joint. Jedediah disapproves, but Sammy agrees, promising he'll still attend Sunday service. On the drive, Sammy asks about life in Chicago. The brothers bluntly tell him it's like Mississippi, just with taller buildings. Disappointed, Sammy realizes the city may not be the escape he hoped for. When they reach their destination, they dig up a stash of stolen Irish beer and Italian wine, showing that the brothers aren't exactly clean themselves. Smoke suggests they open next week, giving them time to prepare, but Stack insists they launch tonight. He says the weather is perfect for a crowd. They split up. Smoke goes into town for supplies, while Stack and Sammy look for musicians and a doorman. As they drive, Sammy plays a tune, impressing Stack. When Sammy asks about his cousin's past, Stack opens up. His father used to beat him for no reason. One day, Stack was knocked out cold. When he came to, Smoke was burying their father's body. They stop at the train station and recruit a musician named Delta Slim. Sammy flirts with a married woman named Pearl and invites her to the juke joint. Meanwhile, Stack runs into an old flame named Mary. She's married now, but admits she never got over him. She's hurt that he left without saying goodbye. Stack, however, shows no remorse and asks her to leave. But when Mary mentions her mother passed away, Stack is visibly shaken. The group then heads to the cotton fields to recruit Cornbread as their doorman. He declines at first, but his wife pushes him to take the job. Eventually, he agrees. Back in town, Smoke strikes a deal with Chinese grocers, Grace and Bach. They'll provide food and paint the juke joint sign. He then visits his lover, Annie. After paying respects to their deceased daughter, he returns a mojo bag Annie gave him long ago. Now strengthened with protective hoodoo, he asks her to come work the bar and cook catfish. She initially refuses, but gives in after Smoke opens up about his feelings. They share a tender moment. Elsewhere, a man named Remick rushes into the shade of a shack, his skin burning in the sun. He bangs frantically on the door until a couple, Bert and Joan, answer. He says he's being chased by Native Americans. Suspicious, the couple considers turning him away until he offers them gold. Their greed wins out. Joan drives off the group outside with a rifle, but when she returns upstairs, she finds Bert collapsed and Remick grinning with glowing red eyes and vampire fangs. Bert rises, now also undead, and Joan screams as she meets the same fate. Night has fallen, and the vampires are now at full strength. Back at the juke joint, the opening night begins. Crowds pour in, but things get tense when people try to pay using plantation tokens, worthless outside the company store. Smoke realizes this could ruin their business. Still, the party continues. Pearl arrives, lighting up Sammy's face. They talk, and the crowd drinks and dances. Mary arrives as well. Stack tells her to leave, but she insists on staying with her friends. Sammy tries to win over Pearl with a performance. He and Slim play a soulful song so powerful, it seems to freeze time, stirring everyone in the joint. After the show, Remick, Bert, and Joan arrive and ask to come in. They say they want to play music and are willing to pay, but Smoke senses something's off and refuses. It becomes clear they're vampires and can't enter unless invited. Sammy and Pearl retreat to a room and make love. Stack hears the sounds and leaves them alone. Meanwhile, Smoke confides in Stack. Buying the sawmill drained their funds. If the joint fails, they'll be broke in 2 months. Stack vents to Mary about their financial issues. Wanting to help, she offers to ask Remick and the others for money. Stack warns her not to, but she insists. He gives her a gun. Mary approaches the vampires and they show her eerie gold coins. When Remick reveals his true form, she panics and points the gun at them. She demands they leave and tries to walk away, but Remick turns her into one of them. She returns to the joint and tricks Cornbread into letting her in. She then seduces Stack and pulls him into a private room. Even when she starts drooling, Stack doesn't resist. She bites his neck, draining his blood. Smoke calls for Stack, but when he gets no response, he checks the room and finds Stack bleeding out while Mary feasts on him. He shoots her, but she gets back up, grinning with glowing eyes. She promises death for everyone in the joint and vanishes into the night. Smoke tries to save Stack, but it's too late. They hide his body in the storage room and tell everyone to leave. Grace wants to go home, and Bach starts up his car. Slim takes over as doorman while Cornbread steps outside to relieve himself. He hears eerie whispers and vanishes. Moments later, he returns, but something is wrong. He asks to be let in. When Smoke tries to pay him through the door, Cornbread grabs his arm and tries to bite. Smoke shoots him and slams the door shut. Suddenly, they hear Stack's voice from the storage room. Annie warns them not to open it, but Stack bursts through. She throws garlic water on him, scalding him, and he flees. Realizing the situation, they ask Annie for advice. She says they need garlic, wood, and silver. Vampires can't survive daylight, so they must hold out until sunrise. Outside, Remick reveals he's turned those who left earlier into vampires. He says he came for Sammy, believing the boy's music can unlock something he's been searching for. He offers the group a place among the undead, promising connection and belonging. Smoke refuses to give up Sammy. Grace panics when her now-turned husband offers to infect their daughter. Smoke believes killing Remick could reverse it all, but Annie says that's not how it works. Each vampire must be staked or burned in sunlight. As night wears on, Remick and his followers make terrifying sounds. Grace snaps and screams for them to come in. Chaos erupts. Pearl, Annie, and Grace fall. Before Annie can be turned, Smoke fulfills her last wish and stakes her. Slim sacrifices himself so Smoke and Sammy can escape, but they're intercepted by Remick and Stack. Smoke faces off with his brother as Remick hunts Sammy. Sammy smashes his guitar over Remick's head, embedding a silver piece into his skull. All the vampires howl in pain. They're physically connected. Smoke battles Stack, and though his brother is faster, Smoke's combat skills let him gain the upper hand. Just as Remick is about to kill Sammy, Smoke arrives and stakes him, causing him to explode into flames. As dawn breaks, the surviving vampires burn away. Smoke gives Sammy his brother's car and tells him to flee town. Then he prepares for a final fight. Remick had mentioned Brett, son of the local clan leader, Hogwood. Smoke knows they'll come. He retrieves a hidden machine gun and waits. Hogwood and his men arrive, but Smoke ambushes them. He takes them down but is mortally wounded. In his final moments, he sees visions of Annie and their baby. Sammy returns to his father's church. Seeing his battered state, his father pleads with him to give up the blues, but Sammy drives off in Stack's car, broken guitar in hand. Years pass. Sammy becomes a legendary blues musician. In 1992, after a show in Chicago, he's visited by Stack and Mary, still vampires. Stack says Smoke let him live in exchange for never hurting Sammy. Stack knows Sammy's time is near and offers to turn him, but the old man refuses. Stack admits they've followed his music for years and asks to hear one last tune. Sammy picks up his repaired guitar and plays. He confesses that, although he still dreams about that night, it was the best day of his life. Stack agrees. It was the last time he saw his brother and the only time he ever felt truly free. And that's Sinners, where vampires don't just drink blood, they drain culture and soul. If you enjoyed this twisted tale of music, power, and the undead, hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more dark recaps. Got a vampire flick we should cover next? Drop it in the comments. Until next time, stay sharp, stay safe, and never trust the man outside with fangs. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more.